I find myself wondering, what did happen to the last 10? I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set the rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen, the other 11 get something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I see what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. One day I'll be Life lessons come one in a dozen, the other 11 get something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen, the other 11 get something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen, the other 11 get something from nothing. Life changes, just open the door. One thing's certain, I'll always be yours. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you.
I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within me if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind, you know I'll always manifest it.
Hello and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick. Already got the medicine already lit. Hope you guys are having a good little Thursday. We got a lot to cover today, a lot of news. So we got to review a lot of cases, a lot of news that are going on around the world. Sounds like Putin is ready to retaliate against Ukraine, and it's going to be something that Ukraine will wish that they never attacked Russia's planes. It's going to be that bad, and it's going to trigger really big conflict down there. Let me get the news set up here because I have it here. It's a couple of things we got to talk about. Of course, the Putin, and we also got to talk about the Iran. We got to talk about Iran also. They're calling the United States proposal nonsense. So we're going to have to take a look at that. But let's go ahead and let me set this up. Say, what's up, Albie? What's up, Albie? Just give me a minute so I could fix it. I got a lot of news to catch up. A lot of these I have not seen yet. So I just set them up. So we're gonna be watching together at the same time. So let me find it here because it's like a lot to cover. We got a lot to cover. So let's go straight for the Putin. Vladimir Putin vows revenge against Ukraine, which I knew was going to come. I know it's going to happen. It's going to be really bad for Ukraine. You know, it's you poking the bear, and the bear's going to attack, and this is what's going to happen.
This Thursday morning, we begin with breaking news out of the US that President Donald Trump has said that Vladimir Putin vows Russia will respond to Ukraine's drone attack on the weekend. The two leaders shared a phone call overnight, which Donald Trump described as good. But he concedes it was not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. David Blevins has the details from DC this morning.
Russia's going to attack Ukraine.
As always, with President Trump, there is a lot to digest. Let me just tell you what he did post. I just finished speaking by telephone, he writes, with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. And he goes on, it was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. Interesting, I think, given the extent of the conversation, 1 hour and 15 minutes is considerable, even allowing for interpretation. He is acknowledging that the president of Russia did speak about the attack on on the air bases, but makes no reference, of course, to the equally audacious attack on the Kerch Bridge, linking Russia with occupied Crimea, something that many observers believe the Kremlin is avoiding talking about because of embarrassment, but also because it's been contemplating how exactly it should respond. Now, according to President Trump, he seems to be rather resigned, it would seem, from the Post, that the Kremlin will respond to that in the coming days with some kind of military response. And he says while they had a good conversation, it's not a conversation that's going to lead to peace. So also resignation to some extent that he is still no closer to bringing an end to the war, which of course throughout the election campaign he vowed he would bring to an end within 24 hours. He then goes on further in his post to talk about Iran and seems to suggest that Vladimir Putin and he are agreed on the suggestion from the White House that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. This comes, of course, after the supreme leader there, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has suggested that the United States has no business interfering in this matter and that they will continue with enrichment proposals. So also he's no closer to bringing agreement between the United States and Iran on those issues too.
Oh man, we're gonna be we're going to war. It's gonna be a strike against Iran. Is gonna happen any day now. There's just, like I said, they're repositioning their ships to certain locations, and they're gonna let loose, and they're gonna go after and destroy those sites. Here's another news clip from the Hill.
Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is rejecting a Trump administration proposal aimed at blocking Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. Khamenei called the deal nonsense and said that abandoning its uranium enrichment program is 100% against Iran's interest. The statement comes at a perilous time in the region. Experts say Iran could produce a nuclear bomb in as little as a week. Israel is threatening military strikes to prevent the capability, and the Trump administration is pushing for a high-stakes deal to avert the conflict. Joining us to discuss, Niall Sandage, White House columnist here at The Hill. Hi, Niall. So apparently, reportedly, the deal that's on the table from the U.S., Iran could continue to enrich low-grade uranium, but that would be phased out as U.S. and Arab countries create a plan to give Iran access to fuel for nuclear power plants. You know, Trump originally had said no enrichment at all, so that seems to be a bit of a backtrack, and Iran still rejected the offer. Now what?
Well, I think it's a very cloudy picture right now, Drew, because what we know about the American proposal comes from reporting primarily from the New York Times and Axios, and the suggestion seems to be some sort of consortium, as you mentioned, with other countries, perhaps Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, in which there would be some facility that would in some fashion help with whether it was nuclear enrichment or nuclear power. The Iranians argue that no, they must themselves have the power to enrich uranium. The President Trump, as you say, is against that. So it's not clear there will be any way to break that impasse. And if it's not, then the sanctions stay on Iran, but Iran is going to continue to do whatever it wishes to do, including continuing to enrich uranium.
Yeah, what the deal would do with sanctions is a bit unclear. One would assume sanctions relief would be part of the plan, but there's no details yet. But sanctions relief, restrictions on enrichment, starting to sound a lot like the deal Obama reached with Iran. Trump called that the worst deal ever negotiated.
Yeah, that's right. And this is one of the really interesting points about these negotiations. Are we going to end up with something that is very similar to the Obama-era agreement from which Trump exited during his first term? President Trump continues to excoriate that agreement, but these reports that we're getting indicate, as you say, that there is some possibility of Iran being able to continue enriching uranium, albeit at a low level. So, you know, the figure that we've seen in these reports is 3%. It was approximately that under the Obama deal in terms of uranium enrichment. So there is a lot of questions here about whether this is going to be all that different from the agreement that Trump has repeatedly blasted.
It seems right now that Trump is really the only thing standing in the way of an Israeli attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. How long is the Trump administration going to be able to hold them off? And what would be the ramifications of an Israeli attack on Iran?
It's certainly the case that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has for years and years been very heatedly against any possibility of Iran getting anywhere close to being able to build a nuclear weapon. And it does appear that the uranium efforts in Iran are continuing along those tracks. That obviously raises the risk of an Israeli attack that would surely produce an Iranian response. Iran does remain, a major power in the region, even though its strategic strengths have been depleted somewhat in recent times because of allies in Syria weakening, and in the case of Hezbollah also weakening. But I think there would be a major confrontation, obviously, if Israel were to actually bomb Iran.
And big questions about what would be the U.S. involvement in that. Are we clear on the motivations of the Iranian leadership? Trump says that they could be wealthy, Trump would be their best friend, but isn't really self-preservation the most important thing here? And maybe an Israeli strike that sets back their nuclear program is actually preferable to normalization with the U.S., which, the Iranian regime has been calling the Great Satan for the last 50 years.
I certainly think it's fair to say that self-preservation is a major, major interest of the Iranian regime. It is also true that the Iranian economy has been badly hit by years of sanctions, by American efforts to try to isolate Iran from the international financial system, oil sales and things of that nature. So the Iranian leadership does have a motivation to ease those sanctions, but they have no motivation at all to appear to be bending the knee to President Trump. And so I think those two dynamics are in competition with one another to some extent, and they may in fact push the chances of a deal further away.
About as high a stakes as they can get in geopolitiks. We'll continue to follow. Now, Sanj, thanks so much for your insight.
Thanks, Drew.
Very interesting. Make this big here. Let's go for it.
A bird's eye view from a Ukrainian drone. Russian bombers erupting in flames. This was an operation achieved by artificial intelligence and human audacity, celebrated today in a greatest hits reel. No surprise that Ukrainian intelligence have set it to music.
You see what I mean? Okay, let me pause for a second. This is like adding salt to a wound. Right? Let me come to me because I need to talk. It's like adding salt to an open wound, and that pain, that sting, that it fucking hurts. Like what Ukraine is doing is what's called showboating. They're really. Oh man, I can feel Putin's energy, man. He's like, they really want to see what I have. They really want to see what we are capable of. And this little rat wants to come up upon me. Like, I'll show you a card. Because this is like Texas Hold'em, right? So let's play and let's see what's up. Let's see who wins. Let the best man win. And the U.S., they're not gonna be a part of it. U.S. got bigger fish to fry, and Russia and Putin and Trump already know. Like, this rat, he's corrupted. Like Zelensky, he's very, very corrupted. That government is very corrupted. The military is corrupted. There's a lot of corruption and a lot of like craziness in Ukraine. A lot of craziness. It's a beautiful country. Everywhere is beautiful. Okay, every country in this world, there's beauty everywhere. But the issue is the people of Ukraine. I can't believe they tolerate this. That's like, I feel like it's like that poison that was here 4 years ago. It's over there, and that presidency needs to be replaced. And Zelensky, even he shouldn't even be president. Well, the only reason why he's president there now is because they had of course, that emergency, and they put an emergency order, so which stops president from leaving office. He has to stay and continue. Biden could have done that. They didn't do that. But if it happens in Trump's hands, where World War III breaks out, and Trump has to stay in office to continue his then under the Constitution, he can do that. He can stay in power, and as a like an emergency, like a national emergency, and yeah, he could stay in power and he could continue running as president. It's very weird living in very unique times, man. Like, we weren't alive for World War One. We weren't alive for World War Two. Some people were alive that could possibly, but they're really old right now. Okay, World War III is something that could bring an awakening to everybody, and there's just gonna be a lot of things that are gonna happen this year, man. I'm telling you, it's gonna be so freaking crazy. Like, I even saw they were talking about something happening in what was it, July 5th? Like, something really big happening. I know this year is gonna be a one, for the records. It's gonna be a crazy fucking year. And I talked about this before. It's just I repeat myself. It's just a repeat. I've been saying this for a long time, for years now. I've been saying this. Years. And yeah. I don't know where I'm at on the count on the how many videos I've done. I'm probably around 640, but I've done a lot on here. I gave my mind. I put it on camera, and we're living in special times, man. These times is we're everything that's happening is being recorded. Hello, even me digitally. I'm gonna live eternity in YouTube, even when I die. I live eternity, and so far 640, I think, or something. I could check. Let me see. So while I check, let me continue the story here, because I think this is showboating. You know what I mean? This is okay. You had now that they're trying to put music on it and look what we could do, but in reality, they didn't blow up a lot of jets. They're trying to say they blew up all the jets. I don't know if they blew all the jets up, because there's satellite images that's not showing a lot of jets were destroyed. So, I mean, there was a good enough jets destroyed, but not all of them. They're gonna retaliate. This is a multi-billion-dollar loss. Okay. What's gonna happen is Russia's gonna get back to work, and they're gonna start building these planes again and ordering these planes, because they need to be replaced, and when they get replaced, they're gonna be more high tech. So I think you did Russia a favor. Ukraine did Russia a favor, because these jets are very old. Okay. And I think with the technology that we have today and the resources that they can outsource and get to manufacture these jets. Yeah, I think Ukraine did them a favor. And Zelensky I'm telling you, this, you're gonna see shock and awe. And it's gonna be like these hypersonic weapons. Like, they have the hypersonic missile. They demonstrated it already. And if they continue to play dirty, because this is playing dirty. This is not even equal. This is like cheating in war. This is what you call cheating. Okay? Because using drones and us and that. Right? And that's crazy because they're using like these cheap ass drones that they're rigging them up and they're causing terror. Because this is a terrorist attack. This is what you call, what Americans will call this is not even 9/11. This is like Pearl Harbor. It's kind of like Pearl Harbor. This is Russia's Pearl Harbor a little bit. Okay, without the mass casualties of people, dying and so forth. This is a big loss. This is a lot of jets got destroyed. But you see, Ukraine, you gotta understand, they have those jets, and that's fine. You gotta understand, Russia has a good navy, and they got submarines. Okay, and those submarines are nuclear. Okay, your little celebration for a couple of jets, it's very, like, to me, is like 0.0001%. Like, congratulations, you got a couple of planes and you did it through drones and you snuck it in and you got it pretty far distance and you achieved so much, right? And yet, compared to all that in Russia, that's like less. That's a dot, like on a needle on a map that you just only attacked. You think those are the only planes that Russia has? You think that's the only force that they have? They have a lot. Oh Lord, I'm telling you, this is and Putin. He knows what he's doing. He's playing the game. He is such a good chess player, man. He's very good, and he's gonna start moving forward, and it's gonna make Zelensky desperate. He's gonna be asking for help and crying for help and sympathy again. Like, no, like, no. You did this. We tried many times to bring peace. We tried many times. Trump has tried peace with these two. And Zelensky and Putin, well, Zelensky doesn't want peace. He came to the White House. The fucking Trump ate him out in the White House. Did we all forget about that? Do I need to bring that up? Should I play a video of that? Because I could just go and get it, but I don't really have to. We know what happened. Trump ate him. He ate him up. It's like, you don't have the cards. You don't have it. You could play Mosquito if you want, because that's what they're doing. They're playing Mosquito, and they're rigging these little drones, which is giving ideas to other people around the world that could possibly do this. Iran, it could go undetected, and it could go and it can penetrate through the Iron Dome, easily penetrate through the Iron Dome, and you won't be able to catch these mosquito-like bombs that could hurt many people in Israel. Like Iran is like, bigger is not better. Smaller, it's effective. It draws attention, and you don't have to spend that much money. You don't have to spend millions and billions of dollars. You can just buy those. You can make those like a couple of dollars, and you can have a whole fleet of drones. It's like, hello, and I'm pretty sure in that area of the world, trade is pretty easy, and they could get those drones in there, and they could just send a whole fleet of drones, and send it over to Israel. That would be nuts. I'm telling you, this is gonna get crazy. This war is gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. Zelensky he's just stupid because he just showed to the world that he's showing off that look what I could do. And it's like, what the fuck you did? You just a couple of mosquitoes came through, bit, and blood came out because the jets got blown up, and so forth. Okay, that was your play. The missiles that is all around Russia, that if they really wanted to, they could just take Ukraine out. They could take it out. They could probably do the courtesy and be like, you have 24 hours to leave the country. If you don't leave the country, you'll be part of the casualty that's gonna happen. And blow all the shit up. And they have the power to do it, man. They're a nuclear power. They're not going to use nuclear weapons, but they have really very strong weapons. Like weapons that, like, the U.S. is like, they're waiting because Putin is not playing. He's not playing these games. Like, Ukraine's really trying to push him to show his weapons. Okay, that's like they're tempting, they're pushing, they're like, show us what you have. We're gonna destroy your place and cause a little chaos, but show us what you got. Retaliate so the world could see what you have. So they already showed to the world already that Russia does have the hypersonic missile, and those hypersonic missiles carry a bunch of warheads. And they it was shown. I see the video playing in my head, and those things could be loaded with strong explosives, and it can do a lot of damage. And if you send a whole bunch to Ukraine, and it's not gonna be good. It's just not good. And Zelensky is the one that keeps antagonizing and building. Look, you could fall back, and you still gain the respect because you want the peace. If you really want the peace, you be like, okay, someone has to come down. The energy cannot be way up here because that's where it's at on both sides. It's way up here, and Russia's getting a little, fed up. And they're gonna cause some issues. They're gonna have issues, a lot of issues. And you could try to blow up the bridge in Crimea. You tried it many times before, and Russia comes and just fixes it and continues on with life. How many times you got to play this game? It's like, we know NATO is a part of this. NATO has a big role of what's going on in Ukraine. There's a lot of corruption that's going on in Ukraine. They really want this war to break off because they think that they could, like, get more money and get more weapons and get, they want more and more and more. They're like a leech right now. They're playing the sympathy, and they want the world to give them like it's the United Way. Like, are you crazy? No. No. So someone has to de-escalate, and Ukraine is not doing it. Ukraine is doing what they think they can do what they want, and without repercussion. It's it's gonna be bad. Like, the retaliation is gonna be really, really bad. Let's continue on with this one, and then we'll do one more on this topic with Trump talking about the hour. Well, it's a 75-minute call. It's an hour and 15 minutes, so it's like 75 minutes with Putin. So, and then we'll finish up with this story.
For Russia, these were prized military assets. But for Ukraine, few weapons cut deeper than humiliation.
President
Putin referred to separate incidents, what he called the blowing up of railway tracks in the Bryansk and Kursk regions. He said they were terrorist attacks. But he later spoke about the drone assault to President Trump, who then wrote about the call without condemnation. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. Hope of an immediate ceasefire appear to have gone up in the smoke of Sunday afternoon.
Ukraine's gonna.
Satellite images assessed by ITV News offer a glimpse of the damage done at one of those bases.
Look at the distance.
Russia, 2,500 miles from the border.
Look at the distance. This is Ukraine right here. Okay, this is Crimea right here. This is the bridge that they destroyed. It's over here on this side. But look at the distance that they got all the way inside. They penetrated deep inside Russia. Instead of going like Moscow, which is right here, which is the main, let them attack Moscow. If they attack Moscow, it's on. That's why they're doing like shit like this. They're doing like far away, and it's a military base out here. But all this land, there's shit all over Russia. Russia's not stupid at all. They are a really strong nuclear power country. They have nuclear weapons. They have weapons of truly mass destruction. Russia has the true mass destruction, and over here is where their submarines deploy and stuff. Up on the top here, they have submarine bases out here, and you don't think these submarines can't reach right here? You'd be super naive. They got to open targets right on Ukraine, and they could go after and just put an end to this shit and just knock them out. They try to play nice and be nice, but sometimes, a little bully try to come up to you and you're like, what the fuck? This little wimp is trying to bully me and shit? Are you kidding me? Let him touch me. And, it's crazy. It's not good. It's just not good. Look how big Russia is, man. Man, Russia's huge, man. Such a huge country. Very huge. You see, they want to get Crimea, so they cut it off here, so the Russians will get this, which is a pretty big amount of land. And yeah, it's a land grab. So it's would it trigger World War III? Possibly, because if Russia goes after Ukraine like that, and then the U.S. is like, we need to take care of Iran right now with the situation. We cannot let them continue to enrich uranium. So, no, we have to shoot and submarines. Right now, they're putting the pause, and everyone's in a pause on that side of the world is because they're maneuvering. Right now, I can feel the submarines moving closer to Iran. I can feel the ships and the area. They are about to get ready to rock and roll, and Iran, um, you fucked because we got a lot of bombers out there. We have B-2 bombers that are already in Europe. That's already in position, and they're gonna attack. They're gonna go after Iran, and that could trigger something really big because Iran could go and just go radical and shoot what they have. If they do have the bomb, they could shoot at Ukraine, and that's gonna definitely start World War III because then U.S. is gonna really attack Iran, and then it's gonna give the opportunity for Russia to attack Ukraine, and it's gonna give opportunity for China to go after Taiwan. World War III is the war of it's the world at war. You know, land grab. It's time for land grab. See, Russia lost a lot of land from previous wars, and now Russia wants their land back, and part of their land is Ukraine. Believe it or not, it is. And it's going to come to a point where that's it. We let it go for, and now you're playing dirty. All right, we got to put you in your place. But Russia is in agreement with the U.S. when it comes to Iran. Now, they have zero tolerance with Iran if they're developing the weapon. Not good. I tell you right now, it's not good. And I wonder who's funneling the material into Iran. Because the vision that I'm having in my head is pointing to Pakistan. Okay? I don't know. In my mind, that's how I'm seeing. Like, Pakistan is playing a role in this too. And that India too. They've been beefing. Those two have been beefing hard. And World War III breaks out. I don't think UK has a. I mean, if they step up and they try to go against Russia and try to fight them, I like it. It doesn't make sense to do it. You know what I mean? Because like what Ukraine is doing is like what Hunter Biden did. You know, he's a fake, and the president they have there now he's just he's a fake. If you see the history on him and you've seen what he's done in the past and how he came up to becoming what he is today, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, are you for real? Like, you'll laugh at him for sure. For sure. And he just reminds me of a chihuahua. He reminds me of a little chihuahua that is just really oversensitive. Okay, let's continue.
Cloud has obscured our view since Sunday, but this morning it cleared and it gave us this. A key section of the airfield where 3 of the 6 large aircraft are visible appear to have been completely destroyed. In another section, 4 out of roughly 40 fighter jets are also badly damaged.
You see?
President Zelensky again rejected Moscow's proposal to end the war today, talking not only of a plan to promote peace, but a vow to apply pressure.
We just have to pressure on him.
You don't need to pressure on him.
We will get peace. And we are very close to this.
He's stupid.
With sanctions and etc. But we need
unity. You saw his body language? Okay, you remember what I do, right? I read energy. I read I listen to the voice. I go back and I see his movements. Like who as a president puts their fist on their face? This is what is going on here? What is this? What is this? Why he has his fist on his face? Like no etiquette. And then the way he walked in, Like he walked in like he like he's something. Look. And look at his body language as he walks in. Look, everyone's here tapped in. This one's here filming something, probably propaganda here, because he has the angle to record him close, and he's trying to show dominance, like he's in control, like he has control, and that he's gonna, like, he has the power, which in reality he really does not. Right here, he reminds me of like a young Darth Vader. You know, a little bad guy, probably from Spaceball. Remember Spaceball? He's what's it called? The Lord Helmet or something. Well, I think that was his name, Lord Helmet or something. Well, that's what he is. He's a Spaceball, and let me hit play, and you're gonna see his body language, and then I'm gonna pause it.
President Zelensky again rejects.
You see the arm movements. You see the movements, the body. He's trying to project confidence. He's trying to project power. He's trying to project that he's the dominant one.
Again rejected Moscow's proposal to end the war today.
Now, why? Okay, you're talking about the proposal to end the war today, right? But why does he look like he's bored? Why does he? When I used to sit like this, I was either tired or I was bored, and like he knows the gig is almost up. He knows that, like, okay, yeah, I was successful in blowing up a couple of jets. Now you're gonna suffer really bad. Now you just green light Russia to go after major infrastructures. We're talking about power. We're talking about like their fuel depots. We're talking about like dams. We're talking about a lot of like targets that they go after the infrastructure, especially power. If they knock out the power of Ukraine, that's really big, and they can do that, and that's what they're gonna have to end up doing, and putting these people in their place. You know, it's like this. First of all, look how everyone's dressed. Is this a frat meeting or something? Is this like a university or something? Does this remind you like university? Like, not even, because they would dress better. Like they don't even look like you would, like in the United States, like Trump's office. You see everyone in a suit and tie. You see like the females with beautiful dresses and really made really nice and look presentable. This one here look like she's doing her homework. She's doing like her I don't know, some tests in college. And then this one too over here with his, like, what's that, lacrosse? What's this, like and then over here they look, I don't know. It's just very weird. Look at the water. The water has like little caps on the top, so no dust or no nothing get on it. Like he's a far reach from that water. That's a long reach. That water should be closer to where he's at, and then he's just a really weird guy. So let's continue and listen. Look at the body language. Look at his head. Look at his movements from left to right. Even as he talk, listen to the vibration. I'm just breaking it down so you can break it down too, and how I do my energy. Like when I watch these type of stories, I could just break the energy down and listen to the media, and then you can tell like the media is just full of shit. So let's continue. It's another 2 minutes, and then we'll go to the Trump, and then I got more to watch, so let's continue.
Not only of a plan to promote peace, but a vow to apply pressure.
We just have to pressure on him, and maybe we will get peace.
You see what I mean? You saw the movement, like the aggressiveness. You know, like look at this. Let me go back a little bit. And I'm sorry for stopping it, but this is more to break it down because we already know what the gig is. But this is just to break down his body language. Let me get it. Here we go. You see, look what he's like. He looks like a doofus right here, and he's trying to project. This is projecting. He's an actor. Okay, so this is just a show. It's all show. Okay, and he's gonna get exposed. So let's continue.
How to apply pressure.
We just have to pressure on him, and maybe we will get peace. And we are very close to this with sanctions and
he's saying maybe we'll get peace.
Unity in it, and joint position.
He believes Putin is stalling. The drone operation.
Who is stalling?
Planning, aimed to break the deadlock, but might harden Russia's stance.
So stupid.
A turning point either way. Rohit Katru, News at 10.
The little mosquitoes. They sound like mosquitoes.
Speak to Dan, who is at the Ukrainian embassy in Washington this evening. Dan, has the delegation meeting there tonight responded to those threats from Putin yet?
Not yet, Nina. No, we're expecting them to start this press conference any minute now. It will feature the head of the president's office in Ukraine, Andriy Yermak. He had meetings with Secretary of State Rubio and senior senators today. I think the message really was manifold. Firstly, that Ukraine stands strong, that it will take the fight to the Russians, and that they feel that these negotiations, which they feel that Russia is not engaging with, is just an attempt by Russia to buy time and rearm. We've also heard from President Zelensky, as you heard in Rohit's report, they're calling for fresh sanctions on Russia, particularly on the Russian oil trade. But I think there is definitely tension between the Ukrainians and the Americans at the moment. President Trump was not informed about this attack ahead of it happening, and this comes at a very delicate time for these negotiations. As we've heard through President Trump's social media post, President Putin is planning a response. I think that's in line with what US security officials are saying. They think it will be significant. So tonight, Ukraine may be defiant, but it is also braced for further attacks.
They're gonna get attacked. I tell you right now, I can feel it already. That's why Trump had that conversation with Russia and had that conversation with Putin, and 75 minutes on the phone with him. And Russia just experienced Pearl Harbor and on their land. Okay, and the enemy came sneaking in like the Japanese did with their jets, with their planes. Well, Ukraine did it with little drones that had probably C4 on it, probably had some really high capacity explosives that can do heavily damage, especially planes. Russia's gonna light them up, man, and I'm gonna have to break it in the morning and cover it. I'm gonna have to cover it because it's gonna be bad, and I'm gonna have to show you guys like. And Trump, you know what Trump is doing, and what he's thinking, because I could feel the energy, so I could kind of tell you. He's thinking that it's fair game now, because like that's fucked up, because you did these attacks and you didn't even talk to me about it. You came to my house. You came to the White House, Zelensky. You sat on that chair, and not once did you mention any plans, any spider web or whatever they use term for the attack, never ran it through no one from the Trump administration. No one, they spoke to no one about it. They kept it under wraps. They had these plans. They started these plans a year and a half ago, 18 months ago. And okay, they were successful in doing this. Russia has, fish to fry for sure. But you're not going to punk Russia. And what Zelensky is doing, he's trying to play the tough guy and then trying to, this is like super democratic. This is what Democrats do. They deflect and make it on like it's your fault. And you don't come to the table to talk. And so we're going to blow your shit up and force you to come to the table because we're doing damage in your homeland. That sounds very stupid. It sounds dumb. It sounds like you don't know what's going on. You're trying, but Russia has other things on their plate. And for one, all those embargoes, any like sanctions, it's not gonna work. I don't even think Trump's gonna sanction them. Even if they attack Ukraine, I don't think Russia's going to go hard because Trump wants businesses back in Russia. At the end of the day, it's a fucking world. It's a big world and it's business. And people want U.S. products. People want to eat McDonald's. People want to eat, Kentucky Fried Chicken and Popeyes and all the American establishments. Russia will want like that and all the products to come back and have good, healthy trading, partners. But you have Ukraine that's like the bitch in the middle. And the side chick is acting crazy. Okay. Very jealous, very like power hungry and Zelensky, man, you're gonna have to leave presidency because Trump's gonna recommend that you leave. If Ukraine's gonna come to peace, it's gonna have to do it without Zelensky. Because Zelensky is not a peaceful person. He does not want peace. As much he's like, yeah, I want peace, but and then at the next thing he's bombing jets. He's doing all these terrorist attacks. And then he's taking credit for it. Like he's proud. He's walking like he's proud. He's like the fuck is wrong with this dude? This dude. Oh man. I don't think Zelensky was very good at history. I don't think he's good at history. He's not good at history. He's not good in politics. He's the main reason why innocent people are dying in Ukraine. It's not because of Putin. It's because of Zelensky. So don't get it twisted. Let's go to this hour call. An hour and 75 minutes. It's an hour 15 minutes. Let's go check this out.
Well, we have some breaking news. President Trump announcing he has just spoken with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He wrote this on Truth Social. I just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. Those were those Ukrainian attacks on the airfields with the drones. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And on this, I believe that we were in agreement. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful and getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion, the president continued, that Iran has been slow walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. A few interesting notes here. First, just yesterday in Istanbul, you had the Ukrainian side meet with the Russian side, and they were talking about swapping injured soldiers, but they admitted there is no immediate end of peace in sight, an immediate ceasefire. Not only that, we know that Russia is a close ally of Iran. They partner together strategically, militarily. So any assistance on that front could push Iran perhaps into an agreement. So two interesting notes there. And Ari, this all comes against the backdrop of President Trump saying, I'll know in 2 weeks whether Putin is serious. And he said that about a week and a half ago. So this development coming as he's really prodding Putin to push towards peace.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like there's going to be any prospect of peace between Ukraine and Russia. If there were, if the president had any inclination from President Putin that there was something encouraging, we'd have seen it in that Truth Social. Its absence speaks volumes. Look, I think the only way to get peace between Ukraine and Russia is for Ukraine to continue to bring the war into Russia. That strike against the 40 Russian long-range bombers was instrumental in telling the Russian people and the Russian government there's a cost to you for continuing your attacks in Ukraine. You need a stalemate in order for two parties to come to a peace terms. Right now, there's been an imbalance until this recent Ukrainian
he's a puppet
inside Russia. I don't know if the Ukrainians can sustain it, though. And if you're Russia, you might want to just continue to keep the attacks going because you think you can win. That's why I think this was very risky for President Trump to think he could be the peacemaker. America's strong. President Trump is strong, but we can't do everything around the world. And I think if Russia and Ukraine won't make peace, we can't do it for them.
Kayleigh, interestingly, in the middle of that Truth Social, is President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. I'm sure that caught the ear of Zelensky.
Absolutely. And I think that one thing to Trump's credit is we have full confidence that both Putin and Iran, all these other countries that he's dealing with, know for a fact that Donald Trump is not messing around. I think what's happening here is Putin is deliberately testing the bounds to see how far he can push Trump, how far he can push this administration before receiving a really harsh rebuke. But Donald Trump is not messing around. And I think that these countries know that, the American people know that, and that's why they elected him to handle our foreign policy.
Yeah, and Laura, this comes against the background of the Hill. The Russia hawks are meeting today. It's a bipartisan group. It's Blumenthal and Guerrero.
So it's halfway. The energy I feel is very strong, and Trump is getting fed up with Ukraine and Zelensky. He's very fed up with them, and he had this conversation 75 minutes long. Hello, where's the report that Zelensky was on the phone for an hour and 15 minutes with Trump? Where's that report? Where like, why is he not calling like to talk to Trump? Because like, yeah, he spoke to Putin, but like, why Zelensky didn't call Trump? So it kind of tells you Zelensky is a punk. Okay, he's a little punk, and there's powers to be that is controlling that narrative over there, and they lost here in the U.S. and they're trying to start something over in Ukraine to sucker the U.S. in, but Trump already noticed, like, no, and Trump will stand down and will not help Ukraine because Ukraine continues to instigate, and Russia is going to retaliate, and they're going to continue to land grab. If you continue to poke the bear is going to continue to grab land, and until you stop, then they'll stop. But if you continue, they're going to continue. All right, so what that guy said, he's an idiot. No, if you're attacking deeper into Russia because you're trying to prove a point or something, I don't think that's very smart. I think that was very dumb, because then you're instigating more. You're pushing terrorist attack. Those are terrorist attacks. So you're okay with terrorist attack? You're telling me you're in agreement with that? Like, if that was to happen here, let's say we were getting these drones, right? They were flying from Mexico and they were coming into the United States, and they would attack Texas, they'll attack New Mexico, they'll attack Arizona, they'll attack California. You know, they even will go to Las Vegas with these drones from Mexico, and the cartels go after you. Like, that's chicken shit. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? And that's fucked up. And Russia is going to develop a device where they're going to be able to shock these drones out the sky. Like, they're going to be disabled through a signal, and they won't fly. And they are in the works. Those signals they're mass producing them, and it's a frequency that can manipulate the drones and make their instruments act a little wild. But let's go ahead and continue this, and then we'll keep talking. But I know the conversation was very serious because Putin is a very serious guy, and Trump is a very serious person. And when you're having serious talks, the truth comes out, and they respect each other. Okay, they have like mutual respect. But Zelensky, you saw when Trump had him over the White House, he put him in his place. Like JD Vance and Trump had to put him in his place. And saying, you have no cards in this, you have no play, you have you're gambling with other people's money, and you're not winning. As much as you want to think and you want to push the pressure and also push the peace while you're doing terroristic attacks, like, are you fucking stupid? Are you a fucking idiot? Because that's what I think of you, Zelensky, a fucking idiot. Like, don't instigate. Don't start terrorist attacks. Like, that's the same shit that's gonna happen here in the United States. They're gonna be terrorist attacks the same way with fucking drones. I see it. They're gonna do it. They're getting ideas. If you give these people ideas, it's like you're putting that program in their head, and you're passing that information to their heads, and then you're mixing a signal in their head, and they get their emotions tied up in it, and then they do the craziness. It's kind of like they just do the crazy. They become terroristic also. It's crazy. But let's continue here with and we'll go to another story.
Ram about potential sanctions on Russia. You know, notably, I always point out, President Trump on his watch, you did not see Putin go into sovereign territory. You did see that with his predecessor. You saw that with President Biden. There's an absence for years. So there is a respect there that could be leveraged by President Trump.
Yeah, and he's talked about that too. You know, we didn't see the issue in the Middle East when Donald Trump was in the White House. We didn't see an issue with Russia, in large part when he was in the White House. I interviewed last week on my show General Keith Kellogg, who is a special envoy to Russia and Ukraine. And when he was talking about the discussions that have been had, that he was privy to between these two countries, he says Ukraine is very clear on what their parameters are, where they are, and what it would take for them to come to a peace agreement. Russia is not. He said they will not actually give us any framework to use. And so I think that's the needle that President Trump is trying to thread. If there's anyone who can thread that needle, if there's anyone, to Kaylee's point, who can tell the rest of the world, I mean business, and they know he means business, it's President Donald J. Trump. And I'm still hopeful that we're going to see peace.
Keith Kellogg is the perfect person to talk to, Emily, because there's the public conversation where President Trump is broadcasting one message. The private conversation with the world leader is very, very different. And sometimes we've seen that spill over in Oval Office meetings we've covered here. But how he talks to Putin, I know from talking to Kellogg, it's going to be in a tough manner. Kellogg has stories about him picking up the phone, talking to the Taliban, to Baradar, saying, do not harm the head on an American troop. And thereafter, many, many months, not a single American troop was harmed. Those kinds of hard conversations are the hour and a half ones that happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I think we've caught glimpses of that in the public eye of exactly who the president is. He's the same off air as he is on air. And I think while that may have surprised members of the public, it doesn't surprise those who look at him with respect and value the fact that he is authentically himself in every conversation. I'm grateful that you pointed out the Ukraine point, because I think specifically that Putin apparently talked about sort of a retaliation. And I point that out that Ukraine bombed them because they were the ones that were invaded. This is an oversimplification, but it seems to me that Putin is sort of interested in an eye for an eye at every point of the way, because to your point, Putin sees Ukraine as his territory. Like nothing less than subsuming it back within his borders will suffice, because to him, that's a loss. That was a lost territory this entire time. He sees it as not sovereign. So I'm not quite sure if that that approach and that perspective that Putin has is something workable on the Ukrainian side, because it's like a, football penalties. I mean, he's like, oh, I have to get them back for this. Wasn't it enough that you invaded? But clearly it's not. So tough road ahead. I agree that my faith is in our president to get it done if it's possible, but I think we still have a rocky road ahead.
This is also where I question President Trump's ability to influence these events, because President Putin does not care. And we, as Americans, we don't have much leverage over Russia. We're adversaries of Russia for the most part. We don't do a lot of commercial trade with Russia. So we don't have the leverage we have in other places that President Trump can use. So I think this is a lonely mission for President Trump, and he's going to quickly come to the realization Putin's not listening. America doesn't have a lot of leverage. There are other priorities for the United States around this world.
And he also said last week that something is off with Putin. Something is different about Vladimir Putin. So I'm wondering if that's playing into this as well. Maybe it's a different Vladimir Putin than he dealt with the first term in office.
Or it's the same Vladimir Putin who's always been.
And Putin, it's worth noting, I know that all eyes are on Ukraine, but he is constructing on the border of Estonia. They call that the edge of the free world, because that's where you start to get into NATO territory. Does he have designs beyond Ukraine? Let's certainly hope not, but we'll see.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-host Harris Faulkner and Kate.
It is what it is. I mean, if they're going eye for an eye, then this is not going to end anytime soon. It's just not going to do it. It's just, let's go to, we're going to see a couple of news of the same topic. We're going to go to the Boulder. Let me see. Let's go to the Boulder with the terrorist attack, which I have weird questions about. In the news today, I saw that they were mentioning that that he put gas on himself because he was going to kill himself. He was going to burn himself. Okay, right? The news said that. I did this. I talked about this yesterday, and I was on here yesterday, and I was rewinding it and showing you guys when he threw the cocktail, the Molotov cocktail. He threw it like in an angle. Hold on, let me make myself big here. He threw in an angle, like I used my bottle. He went like this. So when he did like this, the liquid came out. And it came out like this. So the gas got on him and lit him on fire. He didn't have gas on him and was threatening he was going to kill himself or anything like that. The news is manipulating and trying to say that he had put gas on himself and he wasn't planning on living and he was going to light himself. He did light himself up. And guess what? He took the shirt off. He took off the vest and all the stuff he had on him, even the glasses and everything. He turned off the fire because he took everything off and rolled and it was off of him. He did get burned. You can see his face got burned, his ears burned. He has burn on his nose. He got his hand is probably burnt and his arm is probably burnt, and they're not showing that. But he did get injured from the attacks. He did. They say he went there with how many? 18. It was 16, 18 Molotovs. that somehow, I think it was 16, that he carried all the way, that he bought those bottles. I think it was at a Target or something that he bought it. I'm not sure where exactly he bought those bottles, but and he filled them up, and then he carried them all to the one location, and then he also had a flamethrower. I have not seen a picture yet of a flamethrower. I haven't seen it. Where is the picture of the flamethrower? I would like to see it. I really would like to see what it is. We're gonna let me get the story together here. We're gonna watch. Here we go.
All right. The wife and 5 children of the Boulder terror attack suspect now in ICE custody and facing deportation. All of this comes just days after the Egyptian national allegedly attacked a group of peaceful Jewish demonstrators with Molotov cocktails and a makeshift flamethrower. New video has also emerged of that suspect driving and speaking to the camera in Arabic before the attack. It was shared by a pro-Hamas group on the social media app Telegram. NBC News correspondent Camila Bernal is following all of this live from Boulder. Camila, first off, what is the current status of the suspect's family members? When exactly did ICE take them into custody, and did they say why?
This case
Morgan,
is so weird.
So the Department of Homeland Security saying that they were going to look into any connection or any sort of knowledge that the family had of this attack. This despite the fact that authorities had said that during the interview, Mohammed Solomon had said that his family had no idea that this was going to happen. No, despite all of this, DHS saying that they were in ICE custody yesterday, and the White House also saying that they had 6 one-way tickets for the family members. That's the wife and the 5 children. Take a listen to what the secretary had to say.
Now, Mohammed's despicable actions will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But we're also investigating to what extent his family knew about this horrific attack, if they had any knowledge of it, or if they provided support to it.
A group of peaceful walkers.
And just to sort of lay the scene here, we are awaiting the governor to speak. There's a group here behind me. They're coming together to stand against hate. It is the governor as well as the mayor of the city and a lot of religious leaders coming together to support all of these victims.
Camila, I know you've got sort of an active, although solemn scene there behind you, but if you can, just tell us, we know that the suspect was speaking directly to video in Arabic. What did he say in that video that was recorded just before the attack?
Yeah, so you mentioned in Arabic, and you also mentioned this was posted by a pro-Hamas group on Telegram, so that's important to point out. But he did speak about his allegiance to Allah as a Muslim, and then also talked about how God is greater than Zionists, greater than America. Obviously, very disturbing allegations there, and the FBI looking into all of this. He is already facing that hate crime charge and more than 40 state charges. The hate crime could face life in prison, and in terms of the state ones, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of years behind bars as well if found guilty.
I can't follow this. I have her talking. I have him screaming back here. I have this pride ship flag bullshit back here. Like, you have all these. I don't know. It's just weird. Like, the whole story is acting weird to me. I'm getting weird like energy. So let's continue watching more of like different news. This is CBS News. Let's take a look at this one.
To the investigation into an attack on Israeli hostage support demonstrators in Boulder, Colorado. There's new video. It shows the moment police say the suspect threw a flaming Molotov cocktail. And we want to warn you, some of this footage is hard to watch. So you can see right here someone in a white shirt and orange vest throwing the flaming Molotov cocktail and catching themselves on fire in the process.
He got on fire.
Police say this is Mohammed Solomon, an Egyptian national who overstayed his visa in 2023. His next court appearance is scheduled for tomorrow.
He didn't put
Last
gas
night,
on
Homeland
him.
Security Secretary Christy
You see what I mean? The media is crazy. Because I was watching a show earlier. Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Give me a sec. I'll keep playing that. I'm gonna look for it because I saw it this morning, and the way they were talking, it was just weird. They were saying no, he poured gas on himself, that he wanted to kill himself. Like after this and that, it was just like weird talk from the media. So I'm gonna let this play, and I'm gonna see if I can find that video.
Noam announced his family was in ICE custody and would be questioned. Meanwhile, a vigil honoring the victims will begin just a few hours from now in Boulder. This comes after survivors spoke at another vigil earlier today. So let's take a listen.
Suddenly, right? Like, I think I heard a crash. Felt a lot of heat. And a person is on fire. A woman is on fire. I'm saying this because that's what happened. That's what I saw. And I'll tell you that my focus got extremely narrow at that time. I didn't notice anything else. I was worried about that woman, and I'll tell you, when someone is on fire, it takes too long to put them out.
CBS News Colorado reporter Justin Adams has the latest on the vigil from Boulder.
This morning, we heard from several community leaders, including Governor Jared Polis, as well as Rabbi Mark Soloway and Ed Victor, who was at the walk on Sunday when the attack happened. In total, 8 people took to the podium with the overarching message that hate won't win. The Stand Against Anti-Semitism and Hate Community Vigil was held in front of the steps of the Boulder County Historic Courthouse on Pearl Street, right where Sunday's terror attack took place. Before the event began, those in attendance hugged one another. Others shed tears. In all, it was a chance to hear from community leaders demanding an end to the hate.
This was a brutal, hateful, anti-Semitic terrorist attack against peaceful Jews in Boulder, Colorado in 2025. We are really hurting. We are really angry and really sad. The victims, many of whom are here today,
I don't know. I just feel the energy feels very weird. I don't know if you feel it. I feel like this energy is very weird. It's very forceful. Like it feels like, I don't know. I feel like it's a dossier. Like I feel like it's so forceful. Like it's like when you were little and used to hate eating like the peas, like, and your mom used to try to shove it in your mouth and you just spit it out because you didn't like it. Well, I remember even when I was a baby, how I disliked like peas. I didn't like it, and I would fuss, and I don't like it. There were certain foods that I didn't like, and I don't know. It's just this energy, man. It's so weird with the story. So weird.
want to say enough. Hate, anti-Semitism, terrorism, and violence have no place in Colorado and no place in the United States of America.
Boulder Mayor Aaron Brockett really spoke to the heart of the community when he said that Boulder does not break. Boulder does not give over to fear. Boulder rises. In Boulder, Justin Adams, CBS News.
I don't know. That energy is so weird. It's so weird. Let me see if it's this one. We could take a look at it. I don't know if it's this one, if the news... Let's listen.
Today, we are learning new information about the suspect charged in connection to a Molotov cocktail attack targeting a group of Jewish demonstrators. Officials say the number of injured victims now stands at 15. The suspect in the attack, Mohammed Sabri Solomon, attempted to purchase a handgun in November. That request was denied following a background check. That's according to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. Solomon is an Egyptian national and lived in Kuwait for 17 years. Officials say he came to the U.S. in 2022 on a tourist visa that expired in 2023. He was granted a work permit, but that expired in March. His wife and 5 children are now in ICE custody.
That's just so weird. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just feel like the story's just, It gets weirder and weirder as they keep talking about it. It's like, but this is not the one. But we could continue. It's all right. Media's just, you can't really trust the media. It's a little crazy. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is these days. Can't trust the media. Okay, let me get the next one lined up. Campus protester had contact with Hamas. All right, we can check this one out, and then we'll go to a judge that issues an order stopping the deportations of Boulder. I guess they put a stop of deportation. Like, I'm telling you, it's it's all Democratic there in Colorado. So they're putting a stop to deport them. The White House was like, they got one-way tickets out of here. And then you have Colorado's like their system like, wait a minute, we're gonna stop this. We're not gonna send them nowhere yet. Like, it's just weird. Who's the president? Who's running the country? Is it the judges running the country, or is it the president that runs the country? I elected for our president. I never voted these judges to be making these decisions. So who like this? This is where the corruption and the fuck upness is happening. Is that these judges are just really, goodness gracious. When you see everything, and I see everything for what it is, and it's just not good. So let's come over here. Let's check this one out. This is the campus protest had contact with Hamas. Let's check it out.
So you look at the protests on college campuses, and they say the same thing that these protesters said, that mutant that shot the couple in D.C. that shed, free Palestine. Then you find out about the protesters, and you say, were these all students at Columbia last year and a few months ago? And the answer is no. For example, the cover of the New York Post, you can see it now. If not, I'll hold it up, has a 20-year-old, and this 20-year-old was on campus creating havoc, saying anti-Semitic phrases, punching Jewish kids in the face, and he is directly contacted and supported by Hamas overseas. He has the flag over him. He's been arrested, I assume going to be deported, if not jailed here, and he was part of the unrest. College age, but not a college kid. Up in Columbia.
Jew hater, contemplating setting a student on fire, direct links to Hamas. He was chatting with this Hamas group on social media, awaits trial, indicted on 3 federal hate crimes against Jewish people, and wore a green headband worn by Hamas.
And a mask.
So after October 7th, the show sent me to all these college campuses. And I'm asking all these students who are protesters, they say they're protesters, about October 7th. What about what they did to babies? What about the hostages? And they're all denying it. We're like, man, they sound like little Hamas, right? Well, come to find out they are. A lot of the leaders are. Now, there are some naive kids, but I think we've got to be smart as a country. Either we're going to be little Gaza or we're going to be America. But we can't have people going down Midtown Manhattan or going downtown where they attack the towers with keffiyehs, with the flags of Hamas, calling for a caliphate. It just doesn't make any sense. And we keep saying First Amendment, First Amendment, First Amendment. Where do we draw the line? If the people sound like terrorists or are saying that they want to destroy the country, shouldn't we be able to arrest them? I think yes.
Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, who teaches at Stanford and is running the Hoover Institute, said this about what she's seeing at elite institutions.
Let me say, universities have made a lot of mistakes, including in the way that reacting to October 7th. Our kids chant from the river to the sea. Some of them don't know from what river to what sea. And so we have failed in terms of educating them about the Middle East, educating them about history, where we still talk about oppressors and oppressed, colonizers and colonized. The scientific research base of the United States of America is the research university. We made that decision 80 years ago. We don't have a plan B. And so I am a major believer in making sure that we are able to continue the kind of research that produced the stem cell revolution, that produced actually at Stanford, the double helix, that produced the heart transplant. We just have to make sure, especially at a time when we are being challenged by China along the technological front.
I don't know.
Dr. Rice is totally right, Brian, and she makes a strong case. But universities have to decide. Either they're going to commit themselves to the research and saving lives, or they're going to commit themselves to the anti-American Hamas rhetoric going after Jews on college campuses. But either you want to be activists or you want to be scientists. But you can't do both and get our money.
Yeah, they're all complaining. You're taking away our research money, cancer research. Then don't be silent about this. Silence leads to violence. If you want that money, you got to follow the law. You can't allow terrorism to happen on your campus.
And don't sue the president. You sued the president, double and triple and down. Now you're going through the courts. Now it's a brawl. So that's what the president, that's what the former Secretary of State said.
Doesn't make any sense to
I'm Brian
sue.
Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley
It doesn't make any
Click here
sense.
to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our
Like, it doesn't make sense to sue him. You're not gonna win. He's the fucking president of the United States. Hello. But this is what the judge issued. This is the story I want to go next. The judge issues an order stopping deportation of Boulder suspect's family. So this is the tug of war. Who's the president of the fucking United States? Who's running the country? Is it the judges? Because there's a judge that just issued your order putting a stop to a deportation that Trump has already green light to happen. So now the judge is getting in the way and putting a block to slow the process. You know what I mean? This is the judges. This country needs to be vetted. This country needs to be vetted. The whole system needs to be like revamped. There's too many rogue judges and people that are they're tripped on power. They love power. They love controlling people. They love, like, it's just so sickening. It's so nasty. But this country really needs to be cleaned up because right now it's just a fucking mess. So let's go ahead and start this up here.
Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Thank you so much for joining us. I do want to detail some breaking news involving the terror attack in Boulder, Colorado on the Pearl Street Mall, as we're learning new information right now as a U.S. judge issues an order stopping the deportation of his family after his wife and 5 children were detained by ICE yesterday. I want to put up this here on Live Now from Fox from the Associated Press, saying a U.S. judge issues this order stopping the deportation of a man charged in the Boulder firebombing yesterday, as the federal judge issued the order on Wednesday to prevent the deportation of the wife and 5 children of an Egyptian man, Mohammed Solomon, charged in the firebomb attack in Boulder, Colorado. The U.S. District Judge Gordon Gallagher granted a request from the family to halt deportation proceedings of his wife and 5 children.
Wait a minute. From where?
Halt deportation proceedings of his wife and 5 children who were taken in. Judge Gordon Gallagher, Boulder, Colorado. The U.S. District Judge Gordon Gallagher granted a request from the family to halt deportation proceedings of his wife and 5 children of an Egyptian man, Mohammed Solomon, charged in the firebomb attack in Boulder, Colorado. The U.S. District Judge Gordon Gallagher granted.
Gordon Gallagher, a U.S. District Judge. A U.S. District Judge is getting in the way of this family being deported out of this country because they're here illegally. I'm so fucking confused. Like, this is the energy that's just really confusing, you know, because I feel like this is like a vortex right here. It's a lot of energy, but it's just really like everything's all over the place.
Granted a request from the family to halt deportation proceedings of his wife and 5 children who were taken into federal custody Tuesday. The family members have not been charged in the attack. Solomon faces federal hate crime charges and state charges of attempted murder in that Sunday afternoon attack in downtown Boulder. So, of course, we are following this very closely since that happened around 1:30 local time over the weekend. We saw earlier this week the appearance by Mohammed Solomon inside of the courthouse in Boulder, Colorado, facing those charges. A $10 million bond out for him right now. So some new information coming down as the number of victims also on the rise following this incident that took place over the weekend, as now up to 16 people injured as they were transported to area.
Now it went from 12 to 15, now 16. So 16 now in total. And then let me go back a little bit here.
Over the weekend, as now up to 16 people injured as they were transported. So, of course, we were following this very closely since that happened around 1:30 local time over the weekend. We saw earlier this week the appearance by Mohammed Solomon inside of the courthouse in Boulder, Colorado, facing those charges. A $10 million bond out for him right now. So some new information coming down as the number of victims also.
It makes no sense. If he's a terrorist and he's doing all this craziness, why would you offer him a bond? Why would they be a bond? Like, why are you giving like an opportunity for him to be bond if he committed a terrorist attack? Like, this is what I get confused. It's like the whole system is just so weird. Like this really doesn't call for a $10 million bond, which you could pay 10% of that, which is $1 million. So if someone comes up with $1 million and pays it, they got to release him, but then he's gonna get into custody again because of the deportation order on him. So it's just he's screwed, you know. It's just he ain't getting out of jail. But I don't understand why would they put a bond. It should be no bond. Just my opinion.
On the rise following this incident that took place over the weekend, as now up to 16 people injured as they were transported to area hospitals, transported and lifted, helicoptered to different burn units around the Denver metro area. And we're also expecting tomorrow on Thursday that this individual that yelled "Free Palestine" in this anti-Semitic attack to appear inside of the courtroom for the formal filing of charges. So we'll take you out to that as we did earlier on this week.
It's just a weird story. Let me come back to me here. It's just a weird story. Just it continues to get weird. Hopefully, let me see what else I have here. There's a couple of things that we got to go through. Oh yeah, we got a lot more to go. Let me just clear out some of these videos that I already went through. What's this one? Oh yeah, we got to see that one. So let me just. We're getting almost all of them done. It's just I had a lot open, and I wanted to share with you guys to watch it at the same time, because that's what I be doing when I'm here at my own time. I'd be watching a lot of YouTube and just getting information. So we gotta. Let me see. Okay, this kind of ties in with the story I was talking about with the judge. Who's really running the country? Is it the judges, or is it President Trump? So this will be a good one to go right into. Let me set it up here. All right.
The disturbing anti-Israel alleged terror attack highlights concerns about illegal immigrants like the suspect who overstay their visas. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says she is not stopping her investigation at just the suspect.
Mohammed's despicable actions will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But we're also investigating to what extent his family knew about this horrific attack. If they had any knowledge of it or if they provided support to it, justice will be served.
Now, if that family is cleared, they're going to face expedited removal from the United States. One Democratic congressman, however, didn't seem too worried about visa overstays like this.
That's weird.
Of course, we need answers. We need answers about the visa overstay, and a visa overstay has nothing to do with the border. You know, I believe in border security. We need border security, but in this incident, it doesn't look like that is what is at play here at all.
So he says has nothing to do with the border. Well, this case recalls other terror attacks that were carried out by illegal immigrants with visa issues. In some cases, overstays. In 2015, 2 shooters killed 14 people in a mass shooting in San Bernardino, California. One of them came into the United States on a fiancé visa, known as a K visa. Then back in 2002, an Egyptian national who overstayed his visa opened fire at a ticket counter at LAX airport, killing 2 people. A recent New York Post column titled "Colorado Attack Proves America Needs Some Common Sense on Immigration. Stop Importing Terrorism."
Yeah, but they've already been imported. They're here. You're already here.
Speaker of the House. He also has a new book out called Trump's Triumph. It is out now. Mr. Speaker, good to see you. Thanks for coming in today. So we just laid out the laundry list of previous cases. 2 of the 9/11 attackers were also visa overstays. Is it time for us to wake up as a country when it comes to vetting with visas who we're giving them to?
No, yeah. I mean, we ought to, first of all, wake up to why did they get a visa? The fact is we're going to need much stricter rules, both for China, but also for people who hate America. And I think that there'll be fewer people getting visas in the future because we will be screening more tightly. And then second, we ought to have a very efficient system that we can track you. If you overstay your visa, within 10 or 20 days, you should be gone. We have people who've been here for years who overstayed their visa.
Yeah, and when it comes to these visa overstays and talks about deportations, there's one Democratic congresswoman in the state of Vermont who's getting a whole lot of blowback right now for some comments she made. We want to go ahead and pull that up right now. She essentially said that if immigrants are gone, they're not going to have certain people to do certain things for them. Take a listen.
If we don't have avenues for people to come here legally to work or to build a home here, I'm going to be really crude right now. We're not going to have anybody around to wipe our because we don't have enough people.
Yeah, if you didn't catch what she said they wouldn't have anyone to wipe their blanks. The state's Republican Party chairman called on her to apologize and said, quote, "At the heart of these remarks is an opinion so offensive and so profoundly out of touch that it reveals a fundamental lack of respect for those who come to this country abiding by the rules in pursuit of freedom, opportunity, and a better life." And we do want to point out that Fox did reach out to the Congresswoman about her comments. She pretty much deflected, telling us, quote, "I've relentlessly condemned the Trump administration's cruel practices, targeting and separating immigrant families, and I will continue to stand up for the rights of every person in this country." Your thoughts on the Congresswoman's comments there?
Well, other than that, she's nuts. I mean, first of all,
she's nuts.
It'd be nice if she cared as much about Americans who were victims of these kind of illegal immigrants. It'd be nice if she cared about the people who had been burned or people who have been raped or mugged or killed. Somehow, if you're an American, Democrats find it very hard to be sympathetic. But if you're an illegal immigrant, they really want to make sure that you're treated in a nice way. It's a very strange model. But look, it goes deeper than that. First of all, we have in the fight over Medicaid reforms, the new bill requires able-bodied adults to work. And her whole point, if you pay millions of people to do nothing, which we do right now, then you say, well, gee, we have to bring in people from outside because nobody here will do anything. And by the way, we're paying millions of people not to do anything. So I think part of it is you reform your own welfare. The second, Calista and I did a program last year called Journey to America about people who come here legally. I am totally for legal immigration. That's no excuse to support and favor illegal immigration, which is totally unnecessary in terms of our economy.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of blend together when they say the word immigrants. They don't separate between illegal immigrants and legal immigrants. Turning back to that Boulder attack, About a month before it happened, the state of Colorado, its Democratic governor, he signed a new law which essentially gave illegal immigrants all sorts of additional protections. Those include making it easier for them to get free tuition, state ID documents. It limits sharing information on illegals with the feds. It also prevents delaying the release of detained illegal aliens to cooperate with ICE operations. Now, a conservative think tank analysis found just a huge spike in sanctuary jurisdictions since Trump's first term back in 2016. Take a look at the graph right here. It shows that number soaring from just about 300 back then to more than over 1,000 right now. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt yesterday with this warning to those sanctuary leaders.
The Department of Homeland Security will be issuing a new list of sanctuary cities, an accurate list of sanctuary cities. As for what we're doing to crack down, the president has signed various executive orders and has directed the attorney general to prosecute federal, state and local officials who are not complying with federal immigration authorities and, most importantly, federal immigration law.
So this Boulder attacker, visa overstay, Egyptian national, in the U.S. illegally, apparently living comfortably in the sanctuary state of Colorado. Any surprise?
And may well be on Medicaid and may well be on food stamps. Look, the fact is, any sanctuary city or any sanctuary state is violating federal law, and I think it should be cut off from all federal funding. We just had the same experience in Boston, where the Boston police were blocked by the city from helping the federal employees, the federal authorities pick up people who are clearly criminals.
Yep.
And so I would favor either a law or it can be done by executive order that says if you declare yourself a sanctuary city or state, you automatically lose all federal funds because we don't have to tolerate this kind of behavior, which undermines the rule of law, makes it more dangerous for Americans, and basically protects people who have broken the law to come here.
Yeah. And it feels like, you know, with the Trump administration, their mass deportation agenda, every day, every week, there's some sort of federal judge issuing an injunction. There's been all sorts of them. And that was kind of the idea behind a Senate hearing the other day. President Trump's still battling that federal judiciary as individual judges have blocked dozens of his orders. In less than 5 months, Trump has been hit with 39 nationwide injunctions. That is far more than former President Biden had over 4 years and more than double what Presidents George W. Bush and Obama had in their combined 8-year terms. A Senate hearing yesterday on these injunctions ended up getting heated. Take a listen.
One unelected district judge can now issue a nationwide injunction that ties the hands of the President of the United States for all 330 million Americans. That's not law. That's judicial tyranny. Did the Biden DOJ arrest a single person under this law?
You are now changing the.
No, that is what I said. That is what I said.
Again, I'll pull the record.
Did the Biden DOJ arrest even one?
Again.
The answer is no. All right, so let me ask
you. Of federal judges. I did not interrupt you, sir. I would appreciate if you let me finish.
Oh, look at his aggression.
I am sick and tired.
You saw that aggression in his face?
Kind of heated partisan rhetoric.
You said, quote, Justice Kagan,
Whoa.
I mean, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who were you talking about?
Sir, I'm very skeptical. If it's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil in the classroom,
on
sir.
Your podcast, April 22nd, 2024, and you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful of federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court? Gag me with a spoon.
Gag me with a spoon, he says. Your thoughts on that exchange?
Well, look, he's always colorful. I testified recently to the House Judiciary Committee. I began by reading the names of 14 people who were the judges who were eliminated by Jefferson in the Judiciary Act of 1802. They didn't impeach them. They just wiped out their courts. These district judges are unconstitutional. What they're doing is a complete violation of the Constitution. And if the Supreme Court doesn't get them under control, the Congress and the president are going to have to abolish a number of judges and get their attention. There's also a bill which has passed the House with Darrell Issa and Senator Grassley has in the Senate, which would eliminate nationwide injunctions. It would say a district judge can only issue an injunction in their district. But what's currently going on is clearly a judicial tyranny and basically an effort to take over the presidency by individual left-wing judges.
And there was another nationwide injunction that's grabbing all sorts of headlines. That one having to do with putting taxpayers back on the hook for prison inmates' gender treatments. Listen to this. A judge yesterday blocking the administration from withholding those taxpayer-funded treatments to more than 1,000 transgender inmates. Then presidential candidate Kamala Harris touted her role in leading for advocates for these treatments in California, making it a, quote, critical part of the 2024 campaign conversation. Take a listen.
I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need. I feel very strongly about this, and at its core, it's a civil rights issue, it's a justice issue.
That's crazy.
And it's an issue of humanity.
You're crazy.
So she ended up getting hammered by Republicans for those comments. Also said she'd want it for transgender illegal aliens, wants taxpayers to fund that.
Look, I think the average American thinks all of this is insane. There's overwhelming opposition to using your money or my money or our relatives' money to pay for people who are criminals, by definition, in prison in order to make them feel better about themselves. And I think that this is where the Democratic Party's gotten it. It has a whole series of these 15, 20% issues where the whole rest of the country looks and says, that makes no sense. But they are so deeply committed, whether it's defending illegal immigrants who are criminals, whether it is defending men winning in women's sports, or whether it is you and I having to pay as taxpayers for transgender operations. The average American thinks all this stuff is nuts.
And real quick, 20 seconds. If you were the House Speaker right now, what's a step you would do to try to rein in some of these federal judges with these nationwide injunctions?
Well, the House has already passed the ISA bill. I hope the Senate will pass Grassley's bill. And at that point, the president should sign it. That eliminates it. In the absence of that, I hope the Appropriations Committee will seriously consider following Thomas Jefferson's example and simply zero out funding for a number of these judges.
All right, we'll see how it all plays out. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, thanks for coming in this morning.
Great to be with you.
Good to see you.
Wow. I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe.
It's just wild. It's wild. This world is just. Tell you the his face, like the way he got angry. Let me go back to it. Where was it? No, it was more over here. Here, look. Like we're gonna see his face, how it's changed. Like look how he's like the energy. Like I want to play in slow motion, so that you can feel and you can see the energy. Put it in slow motion. Let me see if I can go back right around. So I want you to see his expression right here. Now look at the body language. Look at his hands. Look at the form, and then look at his face and his facial expressions when he speaks. Like, what?
We're now changing the.
No, that is what I said. That is what I said.
Again, I'll pull the record.
Oh, pull the record.
Biden DOJ
Biden
even one.
Again.
And Biden DOJ, he got triggered.
The answer's no. Alright, so let
Here you go.
Of federal judges. I did not interrupt you, sir. I would appreciate.
Look at his face. Look.
If you let.
Look at the jaw. Look at the clenching. Look.
Finish.
Damn. And look at her back here. Look at her. Look at she's looking.
Sick and tired.
Look at her face.
of hearing the kind of heated partisan rhetoric he said, quote.
Okay, so I just think it's a clown world. It is what it is. There's a lot of corruption in Washington for sure. To the highest level, corruption is just really deep in Washington, and it's not going to get any better. Even while Trump's in office, it's just not going to get any better. Sad but true. And yeah, let's go to this next story here. Let's get out of this story. Let's come over to this story. And
Borders Czar Tom Homan is used to dealing with these illegal loving Democrats. Tom, ICE agents deal with a lot out there when they're in the field. It's dangerous, very dangerous work. And you heard that one bystander who filmed himself and then posted it on social media that he wanted a bullet in their heads. Your response to that and all the rhetoric that led up to that?
It is disgusting. And a lot of our congressional representatives who are vilifying ICE and the Border Patrol every day, they're driving this hate. And I'm telling you, it's only a matter of time before there's an incident where an ICE agent is going to have to take a life or an ICE agent is going to lose a life. I mean, here's the truth. Under President Trump, since he's been back, let me tell you what ICE and the Border Patrol has done. They gave us the most secure border in the history of this nation. Fentanyl trafficking is down over 50%, which means we're saving lives from overdose deaths. Sex trafficking, women and children, is down significantly. Migrant death, over 4,000 aliens died making the journey. They're not dying because they're not coming. Americans, 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl. Like, again, fentanyl is under half of what was coming across. President Trump's saving lives. The men and women of ICE are saving lives every day. And if you look at the numbers don't lie. Majority of people ICE is arresting are criminal illegal aliens, public safety threats. And the non-criminals, most of them are scooped up in sanctuary cities. And you're right, the world's upside down when the guy that carries them badge and guns, the bad guy, and the ones who break the law are the victims. It's just terrible. It's upside down. It's just incredible.
Tom, I want to ask you about another horrific murder that got very little attention. Larisha Sherrill Thompson, a South Carolina mom of two, allegedly killed by 6 illegals. Watch.
What?
Family found her shot dead at the wheel of her car on the side of the road. Deputies arrested 3 adults and 3 teens, ages 13 to 21, for Larisha's murder. The sheriff says none of the suspects are in the country legally. Detectives say the 6 suspects also broke into this convenience store 2 days before they're accused of killing Larisha at random.
Well, apparently, according to the Rock Hill Herald, Tom, police said that the suspected killers texted about the crime. One of the illegals bragged about taking that head, and they used terms like mission fail and this is just the beginning. Tom, we've gotten warnings about this before, that there will be a lot more of these types of murders, again, as Democrats make it more difficult and courts to deport people. I mean, we need millions of people deported. Not, we have 85,000, but we need millions gone.
Yep.
Well, look, I worked for your network for 4 years, and I said for 4 years when Biden opened the border up, we're going to see this. This is going to carry on for over a decade. He let a lot of criminals, unvetted criminals in the country. And for the congressmen and senators who are saying we're traumatizing aliens, we're terrorizing aliens, have you ever met with angel moms and dad who buried their children at the hands because an illegal alien killed their children? And why they wearing masks? They're wearing masks because they're trying to protect themselves and their families. Agents are getting doxxed every day. Their pictures and phone numbers being put on telephone poles. These leftists are following and filming when they go home from work at night. I had over 1,000 protesters at my lake house just a month ago. Okay, I'm the border czar. I expect it, fine. But the men and women at ICE who put their lives on the line for this country every day don't deserve that. When you and I are sleeping at 3 a.m. this morning, ICE agents out on surveillance trying to arrest a significant public safety threat or national security threat while they're all sleeping. ICE is trying to keep them safe. That's a truth, but the left don't want to say it because every day of success under the Trump administration proves that the Biden administration lied for 4 years, and we're ruining their plans, Laura. They've got millions of people coming in this country. They put them on 90-10 doc, which means their hearings are 5-7 years out. We're going to try to move these people. We're ruining their plans because your plan is put their hearings back 5-7 years, don't detain them, and by the time they actually get to court, we'll have a Democratic administration in. We're going to award an amnesty to millions of future Democratic voters. That's your plan, and they're mad because we're shutting their plan down.
And Tom, new news out of Boulder, Colorado. The family of that suspected felon, of course, on an overstayed visa, Mohammed Solomon, who tried to incinerate Jewish Americans and others protesting for the hostages, for their release. The family of Solomon has been detained by ICE and their visas revoked. They could be deported as soon as tonight. Seems like an obvious and correct move, but not everyone thinks so, Tom. Watch this.
If you have a cooperative family that's providing information about your attacker, you might want to really work with them and not threaten their cooperative stance by putting them in custody right away. You can always do that later if their immigration status is in doubt. It's possible that the family could actually provide information that you might need at trial. By putting them in custody, you definitely take the chance that they are no longer in a position to cooperate.
Tom, Andrew McCabe keeps lying.
Andrew McCabe is an embarrassment to the FBI. He's an embarrassment to the badge he carried. Bottom line is, did he take an oath to enforce laws? Because so didn't ICE. ICE, as you said earlier, Laura, ICE is enforcing the laws enacted by Congress. Laws that they get obligated and funded to enforce. ICE isn't making this stuff up. They're enforcing the laws or holding their oath. This is what they're supposed to do. If you're in the country legally,
things
you
going
got
on.
a problem.
Like, there's a lot of videos.
We're going to prioritize a bad guy before we go to the other guy, but doesn't mean the other guy is off the table. We're enforcing immigration laws. That's what the American people voted for. That's why President Trump is in the White House, because that's what the American people wanted, and we're going to keep President Trump's promise to the American people. You can hate or like Trump all you want, but here's a fact. His success on the border, his success in immigration enforcement, his success on national security is unprecedented. I worked for 6 presidents. No one even comes close to the success of President Trump. I'm proud every day to wake up and work for this man because we're making a difference. We're making this country safe again, one illegal alien at a time. And you can hate it all you want. We're going to do it. We're not going to stop us. We're going to continue doing exactly what we're doing. Take all the pictures you want. Scream all you want. It doesn't matter. We're going to do the job.
Wow.
Yeah, well, they lionize the illegals and they villainize ICE. That's all you need to know about modern day Democrats. Tom, thank you.
Wow, that's wild. So let's see what they're doing then. Let's see an example.
We are gathering information tonight on an illegal immigrant bust on Dolphin Island Parkway.
Homeland Security investigators say most of those arrested had prior removals or criminal history. This all happened after the Mobile County Sheriff's Office stopped vans on DIP that were carrying 28 illegal immigrants.
Our Natalie Williamson spoke with the special agent in charge with HSI and has the latest.
That picture is just another day in immigration enforcement across the United States and right here at home in Alabama.
Tonight, this large group of illegal immigrants is locked up after they were arrested today on Dolphin Island Parkway. According to the Mobile County Sheriff's Office, 28 illegal aliens were traveling in vans when they were pulled over for traffic violations. Steve Schrank, special agent in charge for HSI in Georgia and Alabama, says they look at these arrests from a public safety standpoint.
Many had prior removals, had criminal history.
Fox 10 News has been covering these raids and arrests for months. We've learned construction sites are a big target for federal investigators to make arrests. Schrank says businesses that hire illegal aliens will be held accountable and could face civil fines and even criminal penalties. He says HSI, FBI, and other government agencies are going after illegal immigrants who have a violent history. One of those arrested in Mobile County includes Ruben Serrano Sierra, who according to court documents is a Mexican citizen, an aggravated felon, and an active member of the Los Pesas Mexican street gang who has been deported twice.
Wow, we have really taken the early focus on immigration enforcement over the past few months to focus on the worst of the worst. The men and women of federal law enforcement across all of the interagency are out on the street every single day conducting immigration enforcement and working to make America safer.
Our Natalie Williamson reporting. Schrank tells her they have many ongoing unlawful employment cases dealing with businesses hiring illegal immigrants.
He says some of these could cost companies millions of dollars and could result in jail time.
Wow, that's wild. That's where we at. Let's go here. Let's see what another Trump news. Let's go one more Trump.
The Trump administration is threatening to pull federal funding on California's high-speed rail project. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is releasing a new report which says the project has, quote, no viable path forward, unquote. Duffy says $4 billion in federal grants may be terminated unless the state's high-speed rail officials can deliver on their end of the deal. Duffy says the rail authority has 37 days to respond to the report. Just a short time ago, California rail officials issued a statement saying they strongly disagree with the federal report and they remain committed to building the nation's first high-speed rail system.
That's wild. The first one, and yet they just can't get it together. Let's see. Let's go to this crazy nut here. She's one cookie. Now she's independent. She left the Democratic Party to be independent, and then she had to write a book about it. She wrote a book about it, and it's all about the truth and nothing but the truth, and all the stuff that she went through and other stuff. Like these fake ass people, they covered for Biden. She was the biggest mop head of the White House, and she is faker than fake. She is an immigrant. She is a gay immigrant because she's proud. She loves to say that. And I think she's a joke. I think they should revoke her immigration and send her back to wherever she's from because she is not good for America. So let's go ahead and check this out.
Here's the truth, and here's how I will lay it out to you. I think we need to stop thinking in boxes and think outside of our boxes and not be so partisan.
She's left the Democratic Party, now she's independent. Stupid. So dumb. I hope they call her up under oath and answer some questions. Because she was always with Biden every day.
It would seem that people in this White House knew.
I learned about gaslighting from her.
Was slipping. And it was hidden from the American people. So who ordered White House officials to cover up a declining president?
I know that is a narrative that you love. And,
No,
wait,
10 days.
hold on.
He did a press conference at NATO. I'm in it.
And the way that I see moving forward in this space that we're in right now is if you are willing to stand side by side with me, regardless of your how you identify politically, and as long as you respect the community that I belong to and vulnerable communities that I respect, I will be there with you. I will move forward with you. And that is, I think, so important. So this book, Independent, it's about looking outside of boxes, not just always being in a partisan stance. And how do we move forward together?
She's a weirdo.
In this document, $1 billion cut from Washington, D.C. I'm a D.C. resident, and I'm pissed.
Yep.
Okay, so, there's actually little that the Senate minority leader can say, and the 10 Democrats that voted with the Republicans can say, to appease somebody like me. I'm about to change my registration to independent.
These Democrats are so crazy. They have to run like Trump, the racial syndrome. Their TDS is really bad, like to the extreme. It's very sad that they're suffering. I feel bad for them. All right, so let's go. Let's check out 2 more stories, and then I'll probably wrap it up. So let's check out. Let's go with this one. This one's a wild one.
The manhunt for escaped inmate Grant Hardin now stretching into its 2nd week. Authorities continue the intensive search for him, he slipped away from an Arkansas prison more than a week ago. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer has the latest on the case and what law enforcement is doing now to track him down.
Tuesday, the Department of Corrections released an updated image of escaped inmate Grant Hardin. An FBI and U.S. Marshals created headshots showing what he might look like after more than a week on the run.
If he has been hiding out, that he hasn't, his facial hair has probably grown out a little bit more. He's probably, not as clean cut as he has been.
And we've now learned that Hardin faces a federal charge, unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. Newly obtained court documents in the state's case against him reveal investigators are looking to cell phone data to aid their search. A search warrant application signed by a judge Monday requests cell tower data within a 5-mile radius of North Central Unit, where Hardin escaped on May 25th. Investigators hope the data, known as a tower dump, can help identify devices that were in the area, potentially pointing to whether Hardin had outside help. The warrant notes it's still unclear if he received assistance, but that possibility has not been ruled out. On Tuesday, the Izard County Sheriff's Office posted to Facebook saying their deputies and investigators are still working around the clock, following leads and coordinating with multiple agencies. They thanked the public for its support and stressed that community vigilance and cooperation remain crucial to the search. There's now a $25,000 reward for information that leads to Hardin's arrest, $20,000 from the FBI and $5,000 from the U.S. Marshals.
You consider somebody of his magnitude and the crimes that put him in prison in the first place. That's obviously a big concern. Why we want to bring this to both a quick and a peaceful conclusion.
Covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
And after several days of tracking leads, law enforcement says the focus now is still on North Central Arkansas. Stone County Sheriff Brandon Long says his deputies are following leads in their county, which is neighboring Izard County, till a credible tip emerges, placing Hardin somewhere else. They're concentrating the efforts on the area where he was last seen.
Wow. So let's go over to this story. This one's a sad one.
And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. We take you now about 3 hours east of the Seattle area. Take a look at that live picture there over the Seattle skyline. A gorgeous view there. But this story next is very tragic here. I want to put up some of this photos and video that we have. This is what we know. 3 young girls were reported missing last week. They were found dead yesterday. That's according to the Wenatchee Police Department in Washington State. Authorities now searching for their father, 32-year-old Travis Decker. He's wanted for 3 counts of first-degree murder and first-degree kidnapping. This is somewhat of a theme here on Live Now over the past couple of weeks. Manhunts in states like Louisiana, Arkansas, and now Washington State for this father. Our colleagues at Fox 13 Seattle, including reporter AJ Janavel, they're on this story, and AJ joins me live. AJ, thanks so much for being with us here on a really, really difficult story to tell. Get our viewers up to speed if they're just coming to this story for the first time.
Andrew, it's just a tragic situation, and you kind of hit all of these specifics that we have been finding out over the last few days. So the way it started was this incident happened around Friday. This father had a scheduled visit with these 3 girls, all under the age of 10, all his daughters. But when he did not show back up to drop these young girls off, that's when this search began. Throughout the weekend, as well as throughout all of Monday, we were hoping and waiting for the best case scenario, looking for answers. A massive search, including different agencies in this area, looking for those 3 girls. Their names, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, all under 10 years old, all sisters. We found out this morning that investigators found the bodies of all 3 of these sisters a short while away from this Wenatchee area where we are, in a town called Leavenworth, Washington. But what investigators have not found is that suspect, the father, Decker. He's 32 years old. He has an interesting history. Investigators say he's former military. They believe that he has a special set of skills because of his background in the military, that he makes him even more dangerous than a normal person. They also believe that he could have a gun. So they're warning the community because the biggest thing right now is finding this suspect. But the concern is how dangerous he is because, as you mentioned, investigators believe that he killed all 3 of his children. So what they're asking is anyone who has any information or even sees Decker in the community to immediately call 911, to not approach him in any way, shape, or form. Now, we are in Wenatchee. This is where those little girls lived. All 3 of them went to an elementary school down the street. And behind me, in less than an hour, there is a vigil that is planned with members of that school, with members of the community. We've been hearing from people, from parents who got a chance to know these little girls through things like sports, through things like the classroom. And if, Andrew, there's any glimmer of hope within this absolutely terrible story, is this, the community support. In just a few hours, really today, a GoFundMe has raised about $200,000 for Whitney Decker. That is the mother of these 3 little girls. So you're seeing just how much of an impact this family has had on the community with how much money has been raised in such a short amount of time. Andrew?
AJ, I have to ask about the mother in particular. Can't imagine what she's going through, the worst moments of her life. Have we heard from her at all? Have we heard from any other members of the family?
We actually got a chance to speak to Whitney Decker, the mom, on Monday. And it's heartbreaking because she remained hopeful that her 3 girls would be returned safely. This is a situation, again, this visit was scheduled. This was something that was planned with the father, Travis Decker. And the hope was that there was some sort of mistake or some sort of incident that had happened to delay the returning of these 3 girls in the normal process of this scheduled visitation. Since we have found out this absolutely devastating information, all 3 of these girls believed to be killed by investigators, I've heard from family friends that Whitney Decker, the mom, is not in a position to comment. Okay. I have gotten a chance to speak to a close family friend, the person behind that GoFundMe, and what is she's saying essentially is the best way that the community can show their support is twofold. One is that GoFundMe, which I've mentioned before, has raised at this point nearly $200,000. But the other thing is that suspect is still out there. Wow. They want to make sure that if you know anything, that you stay safe, but you also contact police. Andrew?
Yeah, and AJ, at the top of the next hour, to your point, this vigil will be underway. We're going to take that live here on Live Now. Another key item of this story that a lot of people are fixating on is the fact that the Washington State Patrol was contacted on Friday night to request an Amber Alert, though it did not meet the requisite criteria to issue such an alert. Are there questions about why?
Andrew, we've been digging into those questions for the last 2 days as you've kind of brought that up. Essentially, an Amber Alert's goal is to make the community aware as quickly as possible that there is a need for assistance. And when you find out that for some reason the specific details of this case did not rise to the level of an Amber Alert, with the hindsight that we have now, it's concerning and brings up a lot of questions. We've been working to get answers. One of the biggest focus right now, though, has been the fact that that suspect is still on the loose. So we are working to figure out exactly what happened in the situation, what, if anything, can be done to change in the future to prevent other situations like that. But the question you're asking is one that a lot of members of this community are asking as well.
Yeah, and we don't have time now, but failed to mention that this unoccupied white pickup truck was also recovered from the scene near where these 3 girls' bodies were also discovered as well. He still remains on the loose, on the run. AJ Janavel with Fox 13 in Seattle. Thanks for bringing us this incredibly difficult story. We'll check in if there are any more updates.
Wow, that's pretty wild. This is one last one, and then I'll be wrapping up. So let's go to this one here. And it's about the jet ski accident, the deadly jet ski crash. Check it out.
As mentioned, we do know that police have Daikerlin Alejandra Gonzalez in custody, the suspect that they believe is tied to the death of Moore.
So the other part of this, so now we've done genitals, we've done some woke stuff as it pertains to universities. The other part, of course, and one of the big spending pieces of the big, beautiful bill is about $50 billion on building the wall. We know that the deportations are up now. Trump is now saying they want 3,000 people out a day. That's what he's tasked Kristi Noem with doing. And there is good reason for it. The good reason for it, of course, is the amount of drugs that are coming across, the crime and everything else. And I want to show you this story because you're barely going to see this in mainstream media. But an 18-year-old girl was just killed. This was in Texas by 2 illegals. And this stuff is still going on. And you might want to wonder why. You're not going to know her name if you only pay attention to mainstream media. But you know Abrego Garcia. You know the names of the illegals who we boot out, but you don't know the names of the women who were raped or murdered, or in this case, killed while they are doing water sports.
The 18-year-old Ava Moore was kayaking at Lake Grapevine when police say that she was struck and killed by a jet ski with 2 women on it. Authorities were looking for the driver of that jet ski, who they say fled the scene by jumping into a vehicle with a man at the park. As mentioned, we do know that police have Daikerlin Alejandra Gonzalez in custody, the suspect that they believe is tied to the death of Moore. Earlier today, I spoke to Ava's basketball coach at the Air Force Prep Academy and also one of her teammates. They say that she had just finished at the academy and was headed to basic training in a few weeks. They're obviously heartbroken by her death.
Well, there's a lot of sadness, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. Obviously, none of us saw it coming, but and then it goes to anger that they left, anger that they didn't even see if she was okay.
She's scared about not only her teammates but her whole country, and I think that's like the hardest part, is that she really was going to be a difference maker in protecting us and serving us, and it's just hard knowing that she's out.
All right, so there is an 18-year-old girl, and I'm going to know her name, and I hope you will know her name, and maybe that will trickle up to MSNBC or CNN or the New York Times or elsewhere. This should be a front page story on the New York Times or at Washington Post. Her name is Ava Moore, and an 18-year-old girl, an American, is now dead. Period. That's it. She's not coming back. And it gets worse. Here's video footage of the illegal alien who hit her being helped by Venezuelan, we think potentially illegals, get into a van to flee. Well, there you have it. That girl will probably become the next hero of the Democrats. And although I'm being slightly sarcastic, I'm actually not, because they are still at it. They are still at it over on the televised mental institution known as MSNBC 13.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. This world, the Democrats, they're wild. It's wild times, man. media with all the stories. You see all the energy from the stories, and you absorb it. You listen to it every day. It's a new day, so every day you listen to people. So you're listening their energy every day. And I pick up on keywords. I pick up on energies on certain topics that they're talking about. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, weird. It's just the media has been very weird. Ever since Biden, everything's been like upside down and inside out. And I think the media is taking a sweet time to convert and come back to how they used to be back in the days. It's gonna take a while, man. It's gonna have to take Trump suing the hell out of these news agencies and taking that money and building a library with that money. It'll be a great idea. Good library, presidential library. Even some money to put for Mount Rushmore. This mug could go up there if he does it right. He has to do it right, and I know what he's doing with Ukraine. He already warned Zelensky, like, you're playing with fire. You're overstepping. He warned them and told them, and even JD Vance told them. Rubio told them. It's like talking to him is like talking to the wall. He's on his own time and his terms, and nobody's gonna try to tell him what to do or manipulate him. Like, he's on an agenda. He's on a mission, and he just going around simping and trying to pick up as much money as possible from all around the world and get as many weapons to send. Like, send us your weapons, send us everything you have. We need it all. We need it. Like, send me tanks, send me F-15, send me a bomb, send me a nuclear bomb. Like, I'm pretty sure. I'm surprised he hasn't asked for one. The guy's is a mess, man. He's a mess, and he needs to be voted out. And Russia, we got to remember, that used to be Russia's land. Before Ukraine, that was all Russia. That was Russia's. And look what happened. And Russia's like, no, we want to take our land back. And if you want to leave, you can leave. If you want to act crazy and shit like that and try to attack us, well, you're gonna be 6 feet under. So, but what Ukraine did to Russia, I think that was very uncalled for. I thought that was very punk move. Let me send a drone to attack you. That's so fucked up. Killing soldiers using drones and shit. That's weak. That's such a easy way out. Easy. Kill the soldiers with a bomb that you thrown off of a drone. Like, damn, you couldn't even shoot them like on a face off. You had to be slick and throw bombs from a device, a freaking drone. Like, it's crazy. Like, the modern like warfare has changed. Now it's gonna be AI. And the US is mass producing these drones. As I'm speaking here, they've made like probably a good amount of drones that are high tech and not expensive, and that they're going to be using it towards the Mexican cartels. I see it. I see the vision. I see what they're doing, what they're going to use for these drones. They're going to be like solar operated, so they can go a distance and really never have to be worried about gas. And then, like, during the daytime, it gets charged, and then once it's like evening time, it could go to its home base or even continue patrolling because the batteries will be charged and will be able to fly throughout the whole night. But they're gonna put a lot of drones at the border, and I feel like they're gonna go after the cartels, and you put it in the people's mind. You know, these drones you can modify them and put, like I say, you can put C4. You could put other, you know, other goodies on it and make it into a flying bomb. That's what it is. And it reaches its destination, it goes right to it and contact, and then blows up. Poof. And that's what happened with the jets in Russia. But Russia has a lot of jets. It was like a tease. That's like a mosquito bite. That was like a little mosquito bite. That was like, oh, you got some mosquitoes that came right here. Oh man, it's all right. We'll get them next. We're gonna get them. We're gonna get those mosquitoes. And I believe Putin's gonna use these hypersonic missiles again, but it's gonna have explosives because the time he used it, first time he used it, it didn't have explosives. So these warheads, if he puts explosives in it and releases it, you're talking about a lot of damage. And I won't be surprised if they just go after Zelensky, and once and for all, they take the corruption out, and take it out, because it just runs deep. Like Ukraine is just very. It would be good actually if Russia was to take over. It would be so good. Because like, yeah, they can have Ukraine, but it'll be Ukraine Russia. You know? It's like if they absorb that, the United States could absorb Canada and take Canada and all their boroughs and take all of Canada and make them the 51st state. It's going to be a day that's going to happen. It's going to be a day when you're threatened, and when a missile is shot this way and we need to shoot it down, you're going to be depending on the golden dome. You know, you're going to depend on the system to eliminate any threats from coastal and space. Because remember, a lot of these weapons you can put in space and then release it down, and they come down and they go to whatever target they have in their coordinates. And yeah, it's a scary thing. And again, about Israel, Israel, and with Iran, and where Iran with the bomb and dirty weapons, because these are dirty weapons. It's really not looking good for them, Iran, and if they don't hurry up, they're gonna get attacked. They're gonna get hit really hard, and Russia's gonna stand down. And they're not gonna help Iran. And by them standing down, the U.S. is gonna stand down against Ukraine and not help Ukraine. You know, that's their war. They started that shit. They're the corruption. You know, it's all crazy. No. It needs Not to finish my joint. But if a war breaks out overnight, if I get whatever time that I get to see it, if I wake up in the middle of the night and then I see a report that something really big happened, then I may jump on here when I wake up in the morning for an early show to talk about what happened. But I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow. If nothing happens, I would like to sleep in. My body's still sore. My body's sore, man. My neck is sore. My neck is stiff. Like it's gonna be hot tomorrow, but the humidity's up. But the humidity is bothering me. It's bothering me, and I don't like the hot and humid. Like I left Florida for a reason, and the thunderstorms and stuff. You know, at least the rains they pass through here. They don't linger. They move on, and I feel like June is gonna probably be a rainy month, especially like the third week of June. I have a feeling it's gonna be like a wet one. This hurricane season is gonna be interesting this year. It's gonna be weird. A weird hurricane season. That's Dion. So that means I gotta go. I'm done. We had a great show. It was good. I had a great time. We watched a lot of news and spoke a lot. I'll say thank you for those who watched, and for those who rewatch. Thank you very much. I'm gonna keep it going for as long as I can, and let's see if we win this history like happened right before us. Let's see if this a big war breaks out between Ukraine and Russia, and let's see how hard Russia's gonna retaliate. They gotta find a way to do it. They have to figure this out and then work on peace. But they're two stubborn individuals, and they're really at like two cats, you know? When you have a third cat that's trying to break it up, but you're still intact with the other cat, and you're like, well, yeah, like that. Well, that's where they're at. They're not backing away, and Ukraine, man, this is make me yawn. You really make me yawn. I'm so tired now. But I have all this pain. Like I need to like take a pill now and cut that pain out for tonight. And then if I come in tomorrow, it'll probably be around the same time, around 8 o'clock or shit, like around this time. 8 o'clock. I'm not sure yet. I never hammered down a time frame. But if there's some breaking news or something like really, really big happens, I'll jump on in the morning and turn it on and broadcast what's going on. So I'm going to bed. So everyone have a good night and good morning and a good afternoon wherever you're at. It was a great show. I had fun. I mean, critiquing and giving my opinion is fun. It's fun for me. I mean, I like to share my mind and my thoughts, and I like when people watch, and it's pretty entertaining. It's not It's not stagnant. We'll keep it moving. So with that said, I'm out of here, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Peace.